So, Steph, I'm seeing this next wide receiver sleeper you have on your list, and I can't wait to hear this take because, man, this player, like in 2020, he had his boom games. He's a guy who's been hated on time and time again in the past.
That's the thing, dude.
He's just one of those guys that everyone loves to make fun of, but if you really look at the numbers, he's showed some production. He's actually not bad. Now he goes to a new team, has a very unique opportunity. Steph, I can't wait to hear this take you got on this wide receiver sleeper.
Just like with Daniel Jones, just like with Leonard Fournette, typically when a guy becomes a meme and gets made fun of and people on the timeline are scraping him and they're talking about how he drops all these passes, that's actually when the players become a value because the narratives are just pushing their value further and further and further down the board. So my wide receiver sleeper is Nelson Agholor. And right now, per Underdog, his ADP is in the early 12th round. So a pretty late pick. And just like Marvin Jones, he can be, I think, a high floor veteran with some sneaky upside because he's going to be the clear number one wide receiver for the New England Patriots. That's why they signed a 28-year-old to a 2-year, $22 million contract with $16 million guaranteed. That's a pretty big contract for a guy like Nelson Agholor with his record of production. Really only, some flashes in Philadelphia and then a pretty nice year last season, which I'll talk about in a second. But right away, you get a nice floor from Nelson Agholor because of the lack of competition. He's competing with Kendrick Bourne, N'Keal Harry, and Jacoby Myers. And he showed last year, even with the conservative pocket passer that is Derek Carr, he could actually be a really efficient downfield receiver. So when Agholor was in Philly, they kept him close to the line of scrimmage. They kept him in the slot. They asked him to be a Jarvis Landry possession type receiver. He goes to Vegas. They put him on the outside to play the role that we thought Henry Ruggs was going to play. And he finishes the year second in yards per reception in the NFL, seventh in yards per target last season, so super efficient, which led to 8 touchdowns last year and had a 16.7% touchdown rate, which was 6th at the wide receiver position for last season. So right away, you see efficiency, you see downfield targets, you see fantasy valuable receptions coming his way for Nelson Agholor, where he is the clear number one. Then the upside comes into play at the quarterback position because if Cam Newton's the starter for, let's just say, all of the year, that means he's looking pretty good, right? He's feeding the ball. We saw Damiere Byrd and Jacoby Myers have actually some pretty solid fantasy outings last season. You probably didn't have them in your lineup when they had those weeks, but they were able to be productive. So if Cam looks good, that's probably a great thing for Nelson Agholor. If Cam Newton continues to decline and gets pulled and Mac Jones comes in and turns out to be all he's cracked up to be at the pro level as this accurate downfield pocket passer and can keep the offense on the field, can crank out fantasy points, that's also great news for Nelson Agholor. So it's like a almost like Allen Robinson last year, where if it's Mitch Trubisky, that means he got better. If it's Nick Foles, there's some upside that could come into play there. So I think you're going to know early what you have because if Cam is looking good and then Agholor still isn't producing because the volume's not there, then you know, okay, let me just move on from Nelson Agholor. I'll drop him, keep my eye on waivers if things start to turn around. But if there is some spark in this New England offense that invested in the 2 tight ends, drafted a quarterback in the top 15 picks, at this ADP, you're not getting anywhere close to a guy who's going to be a wide receiver one on their team outside of taking the shots on rookies that are on bad offenses or are completely unproven in the NFL, like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Nico Collins, and will likely need time to ramp up throughout the season. So Nelson Agholor is one of these just super deep wide receiver pieces that if things break the wrong way in my roster, I can plug him into my flex. I can plug him in even into my wide receiver 2 spot if I have 3 loaded running backs in these redraft leagues this season.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime you can get a player in the 12th round that has a chance to lead his team in targets, like a legitimate, realistic chance without anyone else getting hurt to lead his team in targets, you take that opportunity. I mean, we talked about it earlier with Paris Campbell. Same deal. With Nelson Agholor, like, If I was a betting man, I might bet on, who knows, like Jonnu Smith or I don't know. I don't know who's going to lead this team.
Who knows?
Maybe
Who
Jacoby
knows?
Myers. But yeah, he's got a shot. He's got a shot to do it. And in the 12th round, he can give you some production. Some of the rookies you mentioned as well have a chance. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown could lead his team in targets. We'll see. Probably TJ Hawkinson. But again, who knows? So in the 12th round, Nelson Agholor, I like it. And you're right. You do kind of get that built-in upside at the quarterback position because they have multiple options. Because you're right. If Cam Newton's playing well, then Nelson Agholor is going to have a better quarterback. And if Cam Newton sucks, like we saw through the passing game for a good amount of last season, then maybe Mac Jones will be willing to push it down the field. So I like the shot on our boy Agholor.